Tim, welcome to the first time we've had you on. Congratulations on the weekend on the Gold Coast and just what you're doing in paddle in general.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to be here, Brett. It was a great tournament on the Gold Coast. Very happy with the win. We had a tough draw. I think it didn't matter where you were in the draw. It was a really, really tough draw this year and a large draw too. It was 5 matches to win the tournament. Three matches on Saturday, which is a lot in the world of paddle. It's if you think of playing three matches in tennis, how exhausted you'd be. Similar in paddle, if not worse. You might. Matty knows all too well. You can go down with cramp very easily, especially as you get older. But no, it was a great result. Great tournament, festival atmosphere, as Matty always says. Very happy.
Tim, I've got to say, I had one hit at the Docklands, Matt Levy, with his terrific setup underneath the Balti there going back 18 months ago. I couldn't walk for about a day or two. I was twisting and turning everywhere and maybe didn't quite do the proper work leading in, just hit the court, and it was a damn good workout, I've got to say. I mean, Tim, I've known about your name. You've been on our Padel Power podcast. You've risen to number 1 here in Australia, and now the chance to venture overseas and go up against some pretty established players. We know that paddle is massive in South America and Europe, and obviously the different choices of racket sports that people can play apart from the conventional tennis. So for someone like yourself, I mean, how lucrative is this becoming, or got the potential to become for you?
Well, I'd like it to go as far as it can. At the moment, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm getting to go to lots of different countries around Asia Pacific, particularly this year. I've been to Bali, Philippines, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, China, and just recently Phuket with Matty B was there supporting. Thanks so much, Matty. I'm getting to do it all and basically cover my expenses and maybe have a little bit on top, which is nice. But what an exciting year it's been, and hopefully as the sport keeps growing and getting bigger and better, it becomes more lucrative. Yeah,
no doubt. Matt, just back to you for a moment. And as you say, I mean, you spent quite a bit of your year travelling and certainly looking at best practice around the world, what's happening in paddle, the growth of the sport. We know that it's still got a lot of room to grow. Obviously, here in Australia, we're in the infancy, really, if you like, and we know the more paddle centres are being established here in Australia year on year. Just give our listeners who are maybe not following the sport intimately, just where you sort of see the progression of the sport in general.
Yeah, so I would say we've probably got about 20 clubs going through various stages of council development around Australia now. So things will be popping up in Canberra. When I say things, I mean Padel clubs, and probably half come off the back of a tennis club, and the other half are dedicated just to Padel, like a warehouse, for example. So that's sort of the landscape now. Bali, for example, will be at 100 courts by the end of this year. Australia will be not far behind. We'll be at about 70 courts, 80 courts, I think. England's at about 500 courts, but the year before they were at 200. The year before that they were at 50. So our trajectory is very similar to the USA or the UK. You'd think it'd be faster being in Australia with all of our tennis history and being such a great outdoor nation in regards to sport, loving sport so much. But the council requirements are a bit stronger here and a bit tougher than they are around the world, with the wind, the rust, the sun, and just the bureaucracies a little bit. Our safety levels are a little bit higher, let's say, in regards to the paddle courts being constructed. So that's that one. But I wanted to throw in a quick bees victory for the Byron boys for the weekend as well, if I could just switch gears back for that. Tim Lanier and Nige War, who are sort of built up from the backyards of Byron Bay over here. They train each week with another new up-and-comer called Patrick Rafter on the courts here in Byron Bay.
I think I've heard of him.
So they've won the bees event, so they'll be having won the bees event. They can never play that again, I don't think. They've got enough points now to move them forward. So they had a great victory there, and I want to give them a bit of a rap. Also, Fem Paddle was also on the weekend. Fem Paddle's the women's initiative to really get behind women's sport, and particularly in the sport of padel. So we had Erin Purtle, who runs Soul Paddle in Albury, organising with some of the local ladies out of the Gold Coast, and a fantastic sun coming out on Sunday in the afternoon there, following up on the Aussie Padel Tour event. So we put those two in together to make, the festival atmosphere an extra step again. It was really inspiring stuff. So it was a really good weekend all around.
Great stuff, Matt. You're doing a lot of great work in this space. One final question for you, Tim. We know, just how physical men's professional tennis is, more physical than it ever has been before. With paddle, I mean, what are the parts of the body that have been physically tested more than any other part? I mean, just take us through your sort of preparation playing paddle here in Australia, and obviously, the hot competition around the world.
Yeah, well, every part of the body, to be honest. Your knees, your back, because you're bent over quite a lot because you're trying to get down low for balls that are coming off the glass, potentially with backspin, which sends the ball down after it hits the glass. So you want to be prepared quite low, right down so your paddle is almost able to touch the ground like a frying pan on the ground. So if you imagine being in that position for long periods, you're very susceptible to get a sore back and this sort of thing. So I'm always rolling out my back before a match, making sure I'm doing squats and getting properly warmed up before each and every match. Yeah, it's quite physical, just like tennis, but probably more dynamic movement, more really fast steps when you're turning in the corner. Sometimes the ball goes and hits, bounces, then it hits the side glass, then the back glass, and you're actually doing a 360 turn with the ball before you hit your shot. So you've got to be able to do that. So good movement and mobility with the hips, also important.
Yeah, the hips, I certainly felt that. Tim, great to chat to you. You're our number one Australian paddle player. In fact, you can follow Tim_Brown_paddle on Instagram. You can follow him if you want to take an interest in his journey. Oz Paddle is the Instagram page here in Australia, keeping you up to date with everything that is happening, and, of course, the Australian Tour right throughout the year. Matt Barelle, thank you. Tim Brown, thank you. Great to speak to you guys.
Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Brett. Have a great evening.